There's a piece of advice almost everyone has heard at some point in their life. Work harder. Outwork everyone in the room. If you're not where you want to be yet, the answer is simple. More effort, more hours, more discipline. It's repeated so often that most people accept it without ever stopping to question it. And for a long time, it was true. But here's something strange that almost nobody stops to notice. There are people working harder today than any generation before them. Waking up earlier, sleeping less, answering messages at midnight, pushing themselves to the edge of burnout. And still, a huge number of them feel like they're standing completely still, which means something quietly stopped adding up. Because what looks like laziness or a lack of effort from the outside is often something completely different from the inside. If you've ever worked yourself to exhaustion and then wondered why your life barely moved, this isn't a flaw in your discipline. For most of human history, the formula held almost perfectly. You work hard, you get ahead. But slowly, without any announcement, the rules underneath that promise changed. Effort stopped being the thing that separates the people who move forward from the people who stay stuck. It isn't effort that's missing in most lives anymore. It's something else entirely. It's leverage. To understand what that means, you have to go back to how the old deal actually worked. For a long time, there was a simple, almost mathematical relationship between effort and reward. You worked an hour, you earned for that hour. If you wanted more, you did more. You picked up an extra shift, you stayed later, you took on another client, and your output rose almost exactly in step with your effort. It was honest in its own way. The harder you rowed, the faster the boat moved, and a whole philosophy of life was built on top of that relationship. Just keep rowing, keep your head down, put in the work, and the work will pay you back. For generations, that mostly held true. But then something entered the equation that quietly broke the link between effort and outcome. Technology gave a small number of people the ability to multiply their work in ways that used to be impossible. Today, one person with a laptop can reach millions of people. A single piece of software can do the work that once required an entire department. A good idea, recorded once, can keep working for years without you touching it again. And what that really means is unsettling. Two people can now work exactly as hard, with the same intelligence and the same discipline, and walk away with completely different lives. The one with leverage multiplies every hour they put in. The one without it simply adds those hours up one at a time until the day runs out. Around the same time, something else shifted. Working hard used to be rare, and when something is rare, it's valuable. But we now live in a world of nearly 1 billion connected, ambitious, hard-working people, all visible to each other, all competing for the same opportunities, which means there is almost always someone willing to work just as hard as you, or harder for less. Hard work didn't lose its value because it stopped mattering. It lost its edge because everyone has it now. The thing that was supposed to make you stand out quietly became the bare minimum just to enter the room. It turned into the entry ticket, not the prize. And then there's a harder truth, one that's easy to feel but difficult to say out loud. When you trade your hours for money, there is a ceiling built directly into the deal. There are only 24 hours in a day, and the moment you stop working, the earning stops with it. You can be the most disciplined person alive and still hit that wall. Because it isn't a wall made of effort. It's a wall made of time. Meanwhile, the people who seem to be quietly pulling ahead often aren't working more hours than you at all. They own something that keeps working while they sleep. A product, an audience, a piece of a company. A skill that compounds instead of resets. Effort without ownership stays flat and capped. Ownership quietly compounds. But maybe the most important shift of all is this. In a stable world, speed is everything. If the path in front of you is fixed, then the faster you run, the further you get. But the ground underneath us doesn't stay still anymore. Entire industries can rise and disappear within a single career. A skill you spent 10 years mastering can be automated almost overnight. And when that happens, working harder doesn't save you. It just carries you toward a dead end faster. You can sprint in completely the wrong direction, and all that effort does is exhaust you while convincing you that you're making progress. So imagine you're doing everything you were told to do. You're showing up early. You're staying late. You're giving it everything you have, exactly the way you were promised would work. And still something feels quietly off. The progress isn't matching the effort. And eventually you start asking yourself the question almost everyone is asking now, usually somewhere around 2 in the morning. If I'm already working this hard, why doesn't it feel like it's leading anywhere? And this is the moment where the real realization begins. Because the question itself might be the wrong one. The real question was never how hard are you working? The real question is what your effort is actually attached to. Is it adding? Or is it multiplying? Is it building something you own? Or something you only rent? Is it pointed at a part of the world that's growing? Or one that's quietly disappearing beneath your feet? 2 people can pour in the exact same effort, and one of them goes nowhere while the other one rises. Not because one tried harder, but because one of them was standing on top of leverage, and the other one wasn't. None of this means effort stopped mattering. Hard work is still the foundation underneath almost everything good. Without it, leverage has nothing to multiply, ownership has nothing to compound, and direction doesn't matter because you never move at all. But effort is no longer the thing that decides where you end up. It's the floor now, not the ceiling. It isn't effort that's missing in most lives anymore. It's leverage. And maybe that's the real shift this generation is being forced to understand. For their parents and grandparents, the answer to almost every problem was the same: work harder. But for the first time in a long time, that answer alone isn't enough. Which leaves one question hanging in the air, far more unsettling than the one we started with. In a world where effort alone no longer moves you forward, what does?